Hello everyone! Against the Storm is a unique city builder roguelite set in a fantasy world where a storm wipes out civilization every few years. It was in early access since late 2021 and has seen steady updates to it even beyond its 1.0 release out of early access that happened in December 2023, just last month as of recording. As it was just released, I wanted to spend some time talking about how the game works, as understanding its unique mechanics is key to succeeding in the game. Now, after you play your first few games, you're going to be in this overview map. And what you want to pay attention to here is that there's a couple of different things you can do. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't keep my save game where I had these unlocked, but I'll show you. Like, the first thing you're going to be able to do is you could go into the smoldering city, and in here you have several different buildings, as you can see. And the main things that you're gonna be doing here is you're gonna be clearing your deeds. So as you go on a playthrough, these, you'll earn these. You can even try to earn these by just reading through what you can do and what's available. The sorts of things, the sort of challenges you have, you can go for here. And then the upgrades section. Okay, the upgrade section is super important, and this is how you are going to be able to play on the harder maps. Without unlocking some of these things, it's going to make playing in this harder maps very difficult. Um, so I have unlocked a few things, but there's still a lot to unlock in this playthrough. And as you can see, there is mostly you need this sort of provision. What do they call it? Food stockpile. And then sometimes you need these artifacts that you can find, or machinery. And as you can see, as you go up, the cost goes up as well, which is to be expected, right? But there's not really any additional resources you need. You just really need these three, which are tallied up here. Now you're always going to get food stockpiles, but machinery and artifacts come from so if you look here, do I even have any available? It doesn't even look like in this playthrough I can collect any. But there will basically, oh, here we go, actually. So over here, yeah. So you'll see these hexes that are covered up with some thing or structure or an icon. And if you have a battle nearby those areas, you will get a bonus resource, right? That's what that means. And in this case, you would get, additional food stockpile by fighting around here in this perimeter, or in the perimeter of this Hydra looking thing, you would get the artifacts, right? Now, these generally represent some kind of modifier. It usually makes things harder. Let's see, in this case, what is it doing? Something strange is trapped beneath the ground. Gain twice the hostility each year. So yeah, that would make it harder. Oh, but you, when your villagers die or leave, hostility decreases by negative 50 points. This might be a good map to use cannibalism in, because you get meat every time that someone leaves or dies. I mean, I'm not promoting cannibalism, but it's a good bonus. I wanted to take a second here to talk about hostility. So hostility is one of the major mechanics in the game, and if you learn how it works, it's going to be super helpful for you to be able to complete these maps um, without, you know, completely losing out of nowhere. Basically, you have two meters here to look at. The hostility of the forest level, and this basically tells you the possible score and how much of it you have uncovered, right? So how much your woodcutters are doing, et cetera, et cetera. And as you can see from here, your your villagers, so your population causes a certain level of hostility just by existing, and then it's negated by your hearth, so building more hearths reduces your hostility. You have woodcutters, and that is the biggest hit to hostility. Yeah. Now hostility increases here with time and the number of glades that you've uncovered. The second meter to look at in the UI here is this little red bar, and all that tells you is how close you are to leveling up the hostility meter here. Okay, so hostility works like a meter that measures your current state rather than a bucket that is getting filled up with something, right? So the reason that that's important is because when the storm hits, the storm effects are going to become active and your other bonuses will become inactive. The first one is almost always this one, looming darkness or something along the lines. And you can see here what it does is you get -4 to global resolve, which is what this number is. And you come over here, you can see that I'm at -4, and it says that you get additional stacks of the effect for each hostility level. So hostility level is still 0, so we don't get any additional stacks. But as this goes up, we're going to get additional stacks. Now, because hostility is a measure of your current state, the easiest way to immediately drop your hostility level so that these stacks will reduce is to use this button. And that's why it's here. So left mouse button to unassign all woodcutters. If I do that, you can see my woodcutters up and unassigned. Let's see what that did to my hostility. My hostility is now -15. Okay. And that's because the hostility from the woodcutters, which was 72, is now 0. If we had multiple stacks of this looming darkness, we would be down to the single one that you get just for being at nighttime or storm time. So remember this button, you definitely want to use it. You don't need to use it immediately. Like in this case, I'm just showing you how it works in a starting level. But like in this stage of the game, you wouldn't really need to use it. As you can see, it didn't really do anything to my state. But once you start to see this number drop to 0 or -0 or negative number, when the storm hits, you can come over here, turn on your sacrifice, or you can unassign all the woodcutters. The woodcutters is going to have a big impact. I personally like to have 3 woodcutter camps, which is a little bit risky because you do get, higher hostility levels quicker. But you do a lot more digging faster. You get a nice stockpile of wood with 3 woodcutters that you can use to make boards with a lumber mill. Lumber mill will chew up through your wood really fast. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyways, the main point here is that you should keep your eye on your hostility and your resolve. That as soon as you start seeing these numbers drop into the red numbers, zeros and negative numbers, you want to use this button to unassign your woodworkers to reduce the hostility. And there's no point doing this earlier because it's not going to save you from getting higher hostility later on. That's just going to be it's basically a measure of your progress through the map. So as you progress through the map, you're just going to get more hostility, and that's just the way it works.
Once you reach the seal, you load into a special map, and eventually you will find this guy, the Ancient Seal. When you click on him, you will get a bunch of different objectives that you need to meet, in order to gain each of the parts of the seal. And then when you have completed all of them, then you will be able to get that seal. Anyways, that is about all I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was at all helpful in some way. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.